I recently learned that there is a simple rule of having a debate on social media. If you are in heated discussion with a person online and you think that this person is not very intelligent or simply doesn't understand your simple logic, please be careful. Most likely this person is doing exactly the same. The Festival of Freedom, Passover, can be approached from different angles. Questions about freedom will be relevant for a long time as the world around us have new challenges prepared very often. Our society tries to balance many factors, and there are always people who try to test rules, boundaries, and social norms. This year has been a year when online world exploded with the number of active internet users and the number of hours people spend online. It happened not in a natural way. All of it was triggered by the global pandemic. Nevertheless, we have been living in an online world for 1 year now. Whether it's Zoom, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, or simply watching on online TV, it is still living online. Although many aspects of in-person life are the same as in the online world, there are many differences. Some of you may know that my rabbinic thesis was written on the subject of online communication and Jewish principles which can be applied on the online communication. In my research, I compiled a list of characteristics which make social media different from an in-person contact. And in a moment, you will see it on your screen. The internet communication is more persistent. The durability of online casual expressions and content is much longer than in the case of in-person communication. Something you said in a private online chat has a potential to stay there forever. Online communication is more spreadable, and by spreadable I mean the ease with which online content can be shared. It is easily searchable. It has an ability to be anonymous and perform actions without them being traced. The scale of your audience has a potential to be larger. It doesn't have to be, but it has a potential to be much larger than the in-person. The online communication tends to be more active than during in-person gatherings. It is also less reciprocal. That is, if somebody approaches you online, you don't feel the same pressure to respond as during the in-person contact. It is easier to ignore. People in the online world are more easily reachable. You know that there used to be the story which says that every single person on earth can be reached within 6 handshakes. So 6 people, the chain of 6 people can reach every single person on earth. So now this number is 4 because of the online. Online, there is also the ability to form more groups and mix with people who have similar characteristics and opinions. Therefore, there is less chance to meet other-minded people. And the last characteristic of the online world is that it is more fluid. It is very easy for people to change groups online. If I don't see one group working for me, I can easily find another one. If I don't find my synagogue good enough, I can follow the live stream of the other synagogue. This is how it applies to the Jewish world. This list might seem scary, as it can cause a potential damage to many people, organization, and can change our world. But in fact, each of these characteristics is neutral. It is neither good or bad. Each of them can be used for positive change, and each can cause a negative outcome. The question is about how we use social media and internet and how we control it. And this last point about the control of social media is more than relevant today. Some countries decide to have full control of the internet traffic and take a very strict approach to social media. For example, many countries have banned or temporarily limited access to Facebook, including some countries including mainland China, Iran, Syria, and North Korea. At the same time, some people appeal to freedom of speech when it comes to limiting social media or any kind of internet communication. And for the last few years, the online world has been testing the boundaries of freedom of speech. Am I allowed to say what I want to say online? Is sharing someone else's point of view is the same as expressing their opinion? Is the act of unsubscribing powerful enough to show that you disagree with the person's opinion? These questions led to a number of fundamental philosophical debates. It also led to a new phenomena. One of them is so-called cancel culture, or call-out culture, how it's called sometimes. It is a modern form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it to be online, on social media, or in person. But most frequently it begins online and then it goes to the in-person world. It is often present at college campuses and in social media platforms such as Twitter, where some students or some people in general practice cancel culture and refuse to give platform to people whose opinions are not accepted. As a result, some students on campuses are afraid to express unpopular ideas for fear of being called out on social media, and which can lead to very difficult, very hard consequences for them. And they avoid asking questions as a result. I can even see it happening in our community. Because we are called a liberal synagogue, I can imagine that some people would assume that an opinion which is perceived by our society as unliberal has no place within our walls, within our community. And the question which I would like to ask, is there a limit to freedom of speech? I think that the Jewish tradition has a few concepts that might help us to navigate in the modern world. Although our ancestors had no access to the internet, and most Jewish principles were formulated in the era before the TV, we have a lot to learn from them. Today we will focus on only one such principle. And this principle is lashon hara. In Hebrew it means evil tongue or evil speech. But in my research, I looked at all appearances of this term throughout the Babylonian and Palestinian Talmud, Bavli and Yerushalmi, and I articulated different definition. According to the Babylonian Talmud, lashon hara is a severe prohibition against unnecessary publicity of negative or positive, private information about another person. There are circumstances when lashon hara is permissible or even required. For example, one can bring a negative report in public without fear of speaking lashon hara if this person has committed a serious crime and had not been called out. You know for sure that this crime happened. You know exactly that this person have done it, and you're doing it to prevent others from using, for example, prevent others from fraud. That can be one of the examples of permissible lashon hara. According to Palestinian Talmud, lashon hara applies to explicit or implicit, public or private statements that reveal true or false information about someone without their consent. A benefit for the speaker is not a necessary condition for a statement to be considered lashon hara. Atonement for lashon hara is possible and indeed required. For the public statements of lashon hara, both Talmuds require a public appearance. So you need to make a public apology if you did something wrong, if you said something in public about a person which is not true, for example. For the lashon hara spoken in private, there should be a private act of atonement. I think that the key word in this approach, in this definition, is the phrase unnecessary publicity. If you are free to say whatever you want and whenever you want, it doesn't mean that you can shout fire in a theater full of people. The fact that you have the right to say whatever you want doesn't mean that you must do it. Most characteristics of lashon hara don't fall in the category of Jewish law. It is a matter of ethics. Your personal choice of what it means to be a decent person. According to this principle, public arguments are seen as the last resort. In other words, if you disagree with someone online, call them. Send them a private message first. But don't try to humiliate the unintelligent and uneducated person in public. Because be careful, most likely that person will do exactly the same as you will. I hope that the Festival of Freedom will become an inspiration for a better world, where harmony and peace prevail and people don't learn how to fight online anymore. Chag Pesach Sameach.